Welcome to It's Just Complicated. On today's episode, we are going to talk about how it's just complicated to parent, but this time, father edition. Today, we have brand new guests that are going to give you some perspective about parenthood, but instead of mothers giving you a little glimpse of parenthood, we have three fathers with us today that are going to give you a little bit of their own perspective of fatherhood. We have Danny, Janny, and David. All different backgrounds on parenthood. So, welcome to It's Just Complicated, boys. All right, so we are going to start off by introducing our new guests today, and they are going to give us a brand new perspective on parenthood and different kind of hoods. So, first, a lot of hood. Who do we have here?
Hi, my name is Danny.
Danny, how old are you?
31.
How are you related to any of us on the podcast?
I'm married to your cousin.
By choice, I just want to say that.
Jackie.
And Jackie already talked a little bit about her experience with motherhood, but how many kids do you have?
One.
Boy, girl?
Boy.
Name?
Lucas.
Okay.
2 years old.
All right. How do you like it so far?
It's a roller coaster.
All right. And next we have...
I'm David,
Hey,
Michelle's
David.
cousin.
Oh. David, how old are you?
I'm 32.
Children?
Yeah, I got a little boy named James, 6
Okay.
years old.
How do you like fatherhood so far?
It's amazing. It's
Yeah?
like being born again.
Okay. And last but not least, hey, babe.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Get 'em.
How old are you?
32.
32. How many kids do you have?
2. Nathan and Makai.
Boys?
Yes, 2 boys.
All right. How do you like fatherhood so far?
It's awesome.
All right.
Wanting more.
Take that out.
Yo, where's like the special effects buttons that I can press? Like, drop one of Clues bombs.
Perfect. Thank you, Danny. She already knows the deal.
If you start with the questionnaire like you did him, I would have, we would have been gotten to it.
She just put you on the spot, right?
Yeah.
Bro, we ain't politicians. We don't
This
do
thing.
this often.
Right. So we want to get to know a little bit about you guys before you guys became parents, and then we'll dive into that.
Our intentions of bringing the guys on is to give their perspective and kind of what has changed since before fatherhood and now. Because I know that for me as a mother, my perspectives has changed. My views in life have changed after I became a mother. So for you guys, who were the parents that you guys wanted to be? And who are the parents that you guys are now?
To be honest with you, man, like everything changed after you became a father. If you're like really conscious about, being there for your kid, the whole world changes because before you're a dad, like you're just out there, and then once you become a father, you're responsible for a whole life. So like everything changes. You got to put your morals in check. You got to put everything in check, your strengths, your weaknesses. And, we all agree, like we love our kids, we all got boys and shit. But like as soon as that moment changes where, girl comes over and she's like, yeah, I got this pregnancy test and it's positive and we're gonna be parents, like you just automatically go into a whole different like world and shit. And then once like they're actually like born, you can actually see and feel like that child, everything changes. Like you can't really go back to the life you had before that, because in the back of your mind you have a man that you're responsible for. You got to turn that man into a man, so you got to be a man yourself. So a lot changes. Like we're not kids no more. We might play video games and still act like kids, make jokes like kids, but when push comes to shove, there is like a whole responsibility right there. And they always got your eyes on you. So it's like that. Everything changes. It's not just like a little piece. It's literally everything.
Is there anything from the way you grew up, the way you were raised, that you want to do different now for your kids?
No, yeah. I mean, sometimes like, we don't have the best parents, especially with that culture gap and shit. Like both Dannys, you guys came here young, and I was born over here, but we still all grew up over here. And our parents in it, grew up over here with us. So like now it's a whole different, you can't really ask your parents like, yo, what should I do? It's like you got to figure it out by yourself,
Yep. That makes a lot of sense.
So how is it for you, Danny, with Lucas?
I don't know. I just try to be better than what I had. in some way or form. Take the good qualities that I had and try to improve on the bad. But it's a shock. I don't know, for me it was a shock because I was a little wild before Lucas and before even the thought of all that. And now it's like, now I think twice about everything I do. I don't know, it completely changed my demeanor, my attitude, everything.
And for you, Gianni, what has changed in your life after the boys came?
Basically everything, but it's funny that like I look back at it and it's, to me, it was just like I was ready for it. I always wanted it, so I was ready for it. So it wasn't that hard, to be honest.
Is it like you expected it to be though?
No, not really. There's times that it was challenging, especially with the toddler and all the crying and all that stuff. I didn't expect a lot of that, but like being a father, I look back at it like I'm like more like my dad. So, and I learned with my dad a lot. So it was like kind of easy, It wasn't hard at all, to be honest.
Yeah, so you had a good example.
Yeah.
To rely on.
Yeah.
So you think like the father figure in your life made it easy for you to be a father?
Yeah, and then till this day, like I kind of mirror my dad till this day. Like the same way that he is the same way that I am with my kids, minus the hitting. I never got hit. Like I never got hit.
You never got hit.
No, yeah, my dad never hit me at all. I got hit once.
Maybe should have.
I got hit once by my mom, but my dad, he was always like the authority. So like if you just looked at me a certain way or if you just talked, it was just like, all right, cool. I'm not gonna push that line till to see what could happen after that. So, and then I took that and I try to do it myself, and it works. It's working, but it's still challenging. Sometimes you gotta. They test you.
They do.
They test you. They'll go over that line, and you gotta do what you gotta do. But
what was what was consequences for you guys for David and Danny? Did your parents hit you? Did you?
Oh yeah, man, it was even worse because I had a stepfather that hit me. So like it wasn't even like my dad that was hitting me; it was my other dude. So that shit sucked. But I learned from everybody. I learned from my mom, I learned from my stepfather, I learned from my father. And, you take the positive stuff and you pay attention to where they messed up so you could, like, be the next person to do better,
You can always take the negative, too, and learn from the negative so you don't do it and pass it on.
Yeah, you fix it.
Yeah, and
Become a better
you'll
person
fix
through
it,
that.
yeah. You'll fix it and not, let that happen.
So how do you view now, because you're currently not with the mother of your child, and James does have a stepfather, correct? Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, knowing that you had a stepfather and how you were raised?
Well, that was one of my biggest concerns, like, after we split up. I guess everybody that's not with the mother of their child, one of the biggest things in their mind is like, all right, so who's going to be in the house with my kid? And thank God that, my son's stepfather, I have a really good relationship with him. He's a great dude, amazing dude. And so that's a huge weight off my back.
But going into it, do you think you projected all those fears that you had because of how you were raised?
What you mean?
Do you think that going into when you and the mother of your child was split, do you think you had already that fear set in you because of how you were raised, because you had a stepfather that hit you, that treated you that way?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't want my kid to go through what I went through, and I was kind of pushed into that situation. So, of course, like, in the back of my mind was that huge fear, and I'm sure it is with every other father, But thank God it didn't. My fears, it didn't, realize. And it was a complete opposite of what I was actually, I was fearing for. But, yeah, in the beginning, the fear was definitely there.
I can't imagine having another dude raise my kids. To me, it's like, it doesn't.
It has to be an adjustment, no?
And from where I'm standing right now, my situation is it has all the recipe to go bad, but it's actually really good. Like, I'm actually more friends with my son's stepfather than with his mom, which sounds weird and shouldn't be like that. But,
Yeah.
It works, and
It,
the
it's
dude
just,
is
it
amazing.
doesn't cross my mind at all. I can't even think about
Well,
it.
that,
It's
that
just-
situation is really good for your son.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's awesome. I love
I
it.
do think it's important too for the stepfather to realize that there is a father in the picture.
Yeah.
There is someone else that that child looks up to. So why not work together versus, oh, I want to be his dad. There can be space for both. But I think and I'm speaking as a mother, I would have a hard time. And I've been in a situation dealing with the step parent. I was the step parent, and I had to acknowledge that that child had a mother and that I couldn't just take over. Although I loved that child and I was treating him as my child, I have to respect that he has a mother.
Yeah,
So that it's really important that the other side understands that too.
exactly.
But not everybody thinks like that though. Some people like, oh, this is your dad now. This is your father now. Like the other guy, that's not your father.
Well, I do think too the mother or the father, whoever's on the other side too, has to put that line in there and say, that child has another parent and we're going to work together versus taking you out the picture completely, right? So...
Right, but in most cases, like, there's a lot of spiteful and bitterness
Yeah.
going on.
And the mom or the dad be like, no, this is your mother
And
now.
that's-
This is your father now.
All that does is ruin the kid.
Right, and it also plays on how the relationship ended, how bitter it was. I think there's all these like things that come into play, but at the end of the day, I think for men, I could be wrong, but the pride too of like, that's my kid, nobody else is gonna raise my kid. You know?
Absolutely, because men lose 90% of the time in custody battles, if not 100%.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right.
We're the ones that lose. You guys still get to keep the kid 5 days out the week or whatever, and just lose a weekend.
Yeah, at the end of the day, though, that's one thing I'll say. Like, when I was growing up with that situation, like, I always knew who my father was, and he was like my hero. And I feel like it's the same thing with my kid. He knows exactly who his dad is, his stepfather is, his mom is. So, it's like everybody got to play a game together.
Yeah,
And if it all works out, then the kid is going to be fine.
yeah, absolutely.
I think the best interest always has to be the kid's interest and not yours as a person, right?
Yeah.
As an individual, because that's where I think the bitterness and all of the argument and the you can't this and you can't that comes from. So we need to address ourselves first before it gets. You don't want your kid to grow up seeing their parents fighting over you, right?
No.
Definitely not.
I mean, I feel like it's harder when you're in a situation, though, to realize those things.
Right.
Than if us looking out, like outside looking in, we can see the faults. But when you're in it, like you're blinded by rage, by bitterness, by being petty, by trying to get the upper hand.
Yeah.
You don't see none of that.
100%. And I will say, like, from personal experience, me and everybody knows that I was in a relationship with someone that had a kid. Me and the mother, which is Natalie, we are best friends now.
For real?
Yeah, me and her, she's my hairdresser. Shout out to Nat. But we weren't best friends when I was in that relationship. Not that we didn't get along, but there was a little bit of the bitterness of like, she obviously felt some type of way about me because I've always been motherly with anyone's kid. It wasn't just hers, but it is scary that there's someone else that's loving your kid as much as you do, and that's spending that time with your kid, and if your kid is asking for that person or crying for that person, like me as a mother now, that would break me. So I see her now, if I had to go through what she went through, and I understand why she might have not liked me back then. But we grew, we talked it out. Towards the end, we were always civil. But now she says to me all the time, she's like, I am grateful that you did for my kid what you did,
Yeah.
Because when she wasn't there, she knew there was someone there caring for her kid.
Yo, and that's a blessing to have somebody that loves your child just as much as you do. At least shows a lot of love for your child. So that's definitely a win.
Yeah, and I think even us being married, it's hard to be in the relationship and kind of have those different views and different perspectives. So not being married, I think it makes it even harder.
Yeah. Even worse.
Not being together makes it even harder because now you're really like trying to get it your way and I want it this way.
All you're doing is confusing the kid.
Confusing the kid, right?
They're trying not to confuse a kid. Not playing. But I feel like, from like James, he gets it. You know, he knows that he has the time with me, he has the time with his mom. But we might not see eye to eye, me and his mom. But when it comes time to like actually raise him, like the stuff that's for him, we're on the same page on a lot of things. You know, so at least if that is civilized, if that's like going smooth, then that's all that matters. Like, you guys don't have to be friends as long as you're raising the kid properly.
Let me ask you a question. Was it always easy? Because I would imagine in the beginning when you guys first broke up, it must have been a little chaotic, no?
Bro, it was hard.
Yeah.
In the beginning,
You
it was
guys
hard.
you guys built into that, right?
Yeah, the thing, it was hard for me because, like, my whole life, I didn't want my kid to have a stepfather. I had a stepfather. I was, like, traumatized with that. So I wanted to, like, when it was my turn, like, my kid, I don't want him to feel that shit.
Yeah.
And I was pushed into that. So, like, in the beginning, I was like, yo, hell no. Like, my whole life, I was trying to avoid this, and now I'm, like, in this situation. So in the beginning, it was really hard. But after, like, you start to put yourself together and start to accept the situation, then it just starts getting smooth. And plus, like, there's a lot of, like, trial and error. Like, you try one thing, it doesn't work, and then, you know, you just have to figure it out, you and the other parent. But in the beginning, it was definitely hard. Now it's more like, all right, we got this. And every once in a while, just a little bit of a bump here or there, but, you know, everybody's more mature.
And for you guys that are actually with the mother of your children, how do you deal with when you guys don't agree on something?
I usually lose.
Wonder why.
I just
Shout out to Jackie.
I just let Michelle do her thing, and I know if it fails, she's gonna come to me and tells me, you know, to do it my way. But usually, I let her do it, and that's it. Like,
Do you think it's easier to let it happen because you guys are in a relationship? Like, do you think you would let her do what she wants to do if you guys weren't together?
no. I don't think I'll go down like that.
Well, I think in that situation, it'd be when Lucas would be with me, I would do it my way. And then when he goes with her, she would do it her way. And then in the end, he's just going to be confused.
Yeah,
Because he's going to be wrong when he does it with me and wrong when he does it with her.
yeah, that's true.
So like David said, you have to find a common ground if you're co-parenting.
But even in a relationship too, like, you know, like she wants to do it one way, and I'm like, no, like that's not the right way. It's like, no, it's this. I'm like, all right, whatever, you do it, you know. And then let's see, you know. And then it ends up coming back to me, and then me being right, and then
Does
see,
it?
yeah,
Does it?
Yeah. Well, 75%.
I told you so. It's so
Yeah.
satisfying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
In my household, I don't let Ricky even have that taste of "I told you so." So if it goes wrong, he's never gonna know it went wrong.
You hear that, Ricky? You were right the entire time.
I think it's hard when you are raising kids because you're learning as you go as it is, and now you have to learn yourself and then understand that there's someone else that has their opinion and their, you know, wishes and wants of how they want to raise their kid. So it's like, I'm trying to find a good example of, let's say, schedule, right? Maybe I think it's important that my kids go to sleep at 8:00, and my husband might not think that's important. So when he has the kids, he's up with them until midnight, 1 a.m, or whatever. And I have to find that balance of where, like, I'm not controlling either. And I'm not like, he has to be in bed at 8:00, otherwise he's not going to go with you anymore. And it's just, that's hard. Because you can't control what's happening on the other person's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's what happens with me. Because, like, Carolina, she has her parenting at her house. Then I got my parenting at my house. I know a little bit how she parents, so I try to, you know, keep that his schedule. But when he's at my house, when he's with dad, he's with dad. You know, and it's actually a good thing sometimes that she's not there, because then I get to, like, actually raise my kid without any restrictions a little bit. I'm not going to be disrespectful. I'm not going to do some stuff that, like, I'm not going to put music that has a lot of curse words and stuff like that, you know. But I'm a parent the way that dad knows how to parent, you know.
What is that way that dad knows how to parent?
Like, sometimes you want to play fight with your kid. Sometimes mom doesn't want to see that. But sometimes, you know, you want to throw hands. Got to show the boy, man, how to throw hands, protect himself. That's dad stuff, yeah.
So we actually have a group chat with all 6 of us, which is Danny, Gianni, Ricky, me, Michelle, and Jackie. And that came up where we were arguing who's the right parent, not the right parent, but like the question was, is a boy raised better with a mother or with a father? And is a girl raised better with a father or with a mother? And their perspective was,
Well, I think that obviously the boy would need his mom, but I feel like with missing the dad in the equation completely, he's not gonna be a man. He might be a man, you know. There's certain cases, but I think that he's gonna miss out on a lot of things that's gonna make his life easier if he had his dad in his life.
Yeah, I think that he needs a little bit of both, regardless.
Yeah.
You know, because there's some stuff that man can't teach boys that only mom can. Or same thing, like if I had a girl, I couldn't teach my daughter some girl stuff that I don't know. You know, I can try to learn to teach her, but I think it's better coming from a woman. You know, same thing, like a woman teaching a boy some stuff that she's never been through, or you know, she doesn't know what it is. You know, it has to have a little bit of both in there.
I think for me specifically, because I have two girls, Ricky was really scared of having girls, and that was something he's always expressed even before I got pregnant. And I think his fear is that he wouldn't know how to deal with all of the girl situations that he's gonna have to deal with.
Exactly.
Because it's much easier for him to relate to a boy, because he went through childhood as a boy. He went through adolescence as a boy. He fucked up the world as a boy. Yeah. So I do see that. But one of the things that he brought up on our chat was that a boy should be raised by a mother to get the motherly, the loving side, because a boy is already going to automatically have the survivor mode in them, right? Because that's how you kind of grow up. And a girl needs to have the toughness from the dad, where she learns how to defend herself. Not to say that either parents can't teach that, but us mothers, we are more loving and gentle than most fathers.
Agreed.
Yeah.
True.
I think that, like, I don't have a daughter, so I don't really know. But what I would say is, if I did have a daughter, I would try to build her up mentally and prepare her for guys that are interested in just the wrong things.
Exactly.
That's the most I think a dad can do.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
We can't relate to, you know, puberty that you guys go through and all the body changes that happen to you guys. We don't know nothing about that. All we know about is we were once those guys.
Yeah.
Trying to get in girls' pants.
Yeah.
And you got to build your daughter's head up to spot them a mile away.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question for you guys is, how would you raise your sons for those situations?
Go get the bag.
Wrong.
Cut that out. That was a joke.
Sip my tea.
That was a joke.
No, but seriously, you as fathers now, because obviously the man talk is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna teach my kid how to go out there and get all the girls, but really, like, when the time comes and your son is out there getting involved with girls, what are you going to tell them?
Me and my dad, we never had that talk, the birds and the bees. We didn't even talk about that. I don't know if your dad talked to you guys.
Way too early though. Too early.
Mine just went, bought me a box of condoms and left it in the room and walked out.
Yo, he explained how the condoms worked and everything. I'm like, bro, I'm 12.
Yeah, I never had that talk, and hopefully when it gets there, I won't be like that uncomfortable to talk to them about it. You know, I play a lot, and like I try to, like, you know, be funny or whatever. So hopefully when that time comes, I'll bring it up as a joke, but then, you know, go in as, you know, like something more serious and try to teach them.
Do you think it's important to have that conversation?
Yes, of course it is. Of course.
Yeah. I just had that talk with my kid the other day. Like, we were in the car driving around, and he's like, "Daddy, do you know I have a girlfriend?" I was like, "What?" I'm like, "What you mean?"
You're like, what is he, 6?
I was like, "Oh snap, here we go." So it was cool because, like, you know, I brought the biggest smile to my face. I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah." And then I'm asking some questions, like, "All right, so tell me more about this girl, man. Like, what kind of hair does she have?" And I started asking him some questions, so he starts telling me some stuff. And then I'm like, you know, what games does she like to play? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, you gotta ask her that, man. So like, he's 6, but he brought up the conversation, not me.
Yeah.
So like, I'm trying to teach him like, well, you gotta be nice to girls and this and that. So at this age, it's like, it's cool, it's under control. He has like a little crush or whatever. So you're trying to teach him how to be nice. But once it gets to like 15, 18, because they're gonna be our age, 21.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a whole different conversation. It's gonna be
I think
a
at
lot
15
more serious.
it's already a different conversation.
Yo,
To be really honest, because I work in the education system, at the age of 10 is probably around the time that you want to have that conversation, because they're getting younger and younger, and
It's the internet, man.
yeah, social media really is allowing kids to think that at that young of an age, it's okay to be doing certain things like that. So,
And I think something that we all grew up with was the whole like, oh, if a boy is being mean to you, that means he likes you. And I think that's so wrong, because you're building girls now to think that it's okay to be mistreated. It's okay to be bullied. It's okay that he's pulling on your hair and he's breaking your pencil and little things like that we don't see like a big deal. That's building their character. That's building who they are. So I thought it was interesting that you said, ask her what game she likes, what color is her hair. For him to learn from young, like, compliment, right?
Yeah.
Loving little things like, oh my God, you look nice today, even though she's wearing her school uniform. To teach that loving side of them, because that doesn't mean you're not a man just because you have that soft side of yours.
Oh yeah, you need to have that side, And it's like what you said. I was telling him like, you gotta be nice to her, you gotta do this, but like pretty much picking his brain a little bit on the topic, because it's obvious that he has some kind of attention for this girl, that he brought it up randomly in the car. So I'm like, all right. I'm like, so what's her name and this and blah blah. So like we got into the topic and we started talking about it a little bit, but I wasn't ready for it. So it's not like somebody told me, oh yo James, it's like he just brought it up out of nowhere. So you got to be ready out of nowhere. Like, oh snap, it's now.
What am I gonna say? And that's gonna impact the way that he thinks going forward.
Exactly.
Yeah, depending on how you react, he might never come back to talk to you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
That's the hard part.
do you guys want to be that parent that's like the friend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I plan on being completely honest.
Yeah.
It might be weird for other people, but I'm gonna be completely honest with him, because I feel like that's the only way he's ever gonna come back and rely on me.
And they pick up on that honesty too.
So even if they say something that you're not in agreement with, you think you're going to be able to
Like what?
filter that?
Like what?
I'll
Like,
it's just I'll take it, whatever they say, and I'll try to teach them the right thing to do. Even if they did something wrong, I got to correct them to what's right. Because they're still learning, they don't know. It all depends at the age also.
Yeah.
well, and this is like, I don't know how, because obviously my kids are too young still, but like there's going to be a point that they're going to be in circles where people, the drugs, that is something that we all been exposed to as kids. Our kids are going to be exposed to.
Yeah.
The different, I think now, the world that we're living in today, there's so much exposure, right? And I feel specifically our generation, we're in the middle of that. We're in the middle of the traditional, and I don't even know what to call it now, but
The digital age.
right. And the exposure that they're getting of the different things into the world. So how do you react without being that parent's like, no, you can't, don't look at that. Let's not talk about that. That's not okay, because I think that's not okay.
Yeah.
Like, how do you bring it in a way to keep them close to you?
I'll just be honest. If my son ever comes up to me and says, "Oh, a couple of my friends were smoking weed," I'm like, "Yo, I smoked weed for a long time. I did it. I'm not gonna lie to him, because if I lie to him, he's gonna be like, oh shit, my dad's never smoked weed, so maybe I'm not gonna come and talk to him about that kind of shit." But if I keep it real with him, be like, "Listen, I smoked weed before. You have to be careful who you smoke it with, who you're around. There's a lot of dangers that come with weed, especially nowadays. Weed could be laced. Back in my day, weed was never laced." And see how that conversation goes. Obviously, I'm gonna tell him not to smoke, but I feel like if you tell the kid not to smoke, or you make him feel like he's doing something wrong, he's just gonna go do it.
Yeah, they're gonna want to
back.
experience
Yeah,
it.
but I feel like there's a time for everything, though.
Yeah.
Like if he wants to smoke, whatever, there's gonna be that time where like drinking. There's gonna be that time like, oh, listen, it's not your time yet. Like learn first or whatever, and then maybe you could do it. I didn't start drinking till like a couple of years ago.
Ricky.
But hey, it's because I was in church for like most of my life. So I was in church for most of my life. So David knows.
I was there.
I was in it. So I wasn't like into the smoking, into the drinking. I did do all that. But after I left, then I started, drinking more and whatnot. And, I just feel like there's a time for everything, like I feel like as you start going, like you start getting to an older age where you're like, more, you're more of like an adult, like 17, 18, 19, where you're there. And I think that's where like the high point is at that age, like maybe 17 to like, maybe like to 25, that's when you're like more into like the whole drug and drinking till you decide like, what do you really want to do with life. I think that's where like, okay, you want to do it, but hopefully like, you grow out of it and,
Come back
and be
to
responsible.
reality.
Yeah, and be responsible because I still know those people, older, they still smoke, like do drugs. They're like in their 40s, and they were fine, but I personally wouldn't want my kid doing it, because I'm here to protect them, and want the best for them. But then again, once they turn to a certain age, it's their life, and I can only, like my dad, he tells me like, he doesn't like me drinking. But sometimes he sees me drinking, he'll get upset. But sometimes he's like, he's okay with it because he knows that like I'm an adult. I have my own kids. Like I get to make my own decisions.
You're taking care of your business.
Yes, and like I haven't given him any trouble all these years, so he knows like I'm responsible.
Bro, you never give him trouble
at all. Yeah, that's my dad. I don't want that look.
I think I agree with that because I've been exposed to the alcohol from a young age. Not me. I was not, guys, my parents were not feeding me alcohol. But I've been exposed to the alcohol around family parties, people. Yeah. My dad would drinks. And I didn't pick up on that habit. I don't really drink, right? I just recently started to getting into a little bit of, I drink socially when we go out just because it's nice to have a little buzz and have fun with everybody. Yeah. But I'm not the kind of person that you're going to catch me saying, oh my God, I need to go out and drink this weekend, right? My husband is. He loves going out on Friday nights and Saturday nights and drinking and getting drunk, and that's his fun. But I do want to teach my kids that, like, there's a limit. Yeah. Right? Because I at this point in my life, I know how it impacts your children because I experience it with my father, right? With the alcoholism. And it gets to a point where he thinks it might not impact it because he was a great father. My dad was always a great father for me. But now I see that, like, he's not 100% there for my kids because of the alcohol. Mm-hmm. And he might not think that way, but that's what's happening, right? Because I don't want that exposure to my kids. And that automatically means that my father's not going to be around as much as I would like him to be. So although he was a great father, now he's kind of slacking on that end. And that's what kind of scares me as a parent. Like, I don't want my kids to grow up and think like, oh, my dad was never there because of his choices that he made in his life and whatever, the drugs, the alcohol, because that does affect you as a person.
Yeah, it affects the whole family.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like our culture is really heavy on alcohol.
And yeah. it was a normal thing as we grew up.
Yeah, parties, you see all your uncles and aunts wasted. Like, we're talking about kegs and kegs and kegs and kegs. And
now, it's a kid's birthday party. Too.
Right, now thinking about it.
2-year-old birthday party.
Yeah.
Right, now thinking about it, all of our birthday parties that my parents used to throw, it was literally like 6 kegs just laying around the yard.
I remember those days.
Your birthday party was that little 30-minute when they're singing happy birthday and cutting the cake. The rest was for the family.
Yeah, for the adults.
And I don't know for you guys, but for me now, it's really important that I focus on my kid rather than on my needs. So, like, if we're going out at night, I don't take my kid with me if there's going to be heavy drinking and just adults, because that's not an environment for them. And I think that although it didn't, I don't feel like it traumatized me, but I was exposed to all that good stuff. And luckily I was able to come out of it, but there's a lot of people that don't and become drug addicts and become alcoholics.
Shit, me and Gabriel been through some shit.
I mean, your parents used to take you to
the
the guys' clubhouse where everybody's drinking, gambling.
It would literally just be me and Gabriel. They were like 10 years old. Everybody's playing cards and drunk. We're just there. And then we got to drive home with them.
That's a reality. Would you do that to Lucas?
Hell no. You're just exposing them to too much shit. It's not even just the alcohol. It's the conversations you're around.
Yeah.
Kids at that age shouldn't be listening to that shit.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I think the older they get, the more in tune they get to what you're saying. And kids should not be around adult conversations.
The gambling.
Those are all habits that you're teaching your kid.
Yeah.
Luckily, you guys came out of it and you guys aren't drug addicts or alcoholics or addicted to gambling, kind of, sort of, right? Because you gamble football and things like that.
Sometimes, drink sometimes, but I feel like it's all social, you know.
Right. You're not taking it out of your home to...
Yeah, the culture thing with being like from a Brazilian background, you know, especially because we were born in like the 90s, early 90s. These people, they, you know, they're from a whole different epoch, like a whole different generation and shit. And y'all know how Brazil is. It's like killing was normal and this is normal, that is normal. That's a whole bunch of stuff that's like really negative shit is considered normal until you get over here on this side of the planet where like, you know, we started from zip. So we're starting to realize that, yo, that's just not normal. That's just not right. Like, this is wrong, you know? So we got to pretty much rewire our whole shit. And we had to do that late, you know what I'm saying? After, like, our teenage years or whatever. But now our kids are getting it from the crib, you know? Because, like, we're starting to see and pick up all these, like, habits that needs to be changed or else our kids are going to fall into the same hole, you know? And like Jackie said, Donnie, I'm sorry. You guys look alike.
Thanks. Not the first time I hear that.
So, like, a lot of times, you know, we've been exposed to a whole bunch of crap in our past. And one of the first things we notice when we're adults now, our parents, is like, yo, my kid is definitely not going to go through that. I'm definitely not going to expose my kid to that, which makes us better parents, you know?
I have a question for you guys because I feel like often we have these conversations and we're not fathers, right? We talk about fathers sometimes.
But from our perspective.
From our perspective.
Sometimes.
But I want to hear from you guys because I know that there's a lot of things that are said about fatherhood and fathers when it comes to parenting. And I do feel from speaking to Danny and the other Danny and Ricky and David and all these father figures in our lives that they don't feel like they're true statements. And so what is often said about fatherhood? And how do you guys feel about these statements?
I feel bad about some of these statements because they're far from the truth, you know?
What are some of the things that you guys hear people say in general about fathers?
That you don't agree with?
Well, sometimes people want to get inside the head that their fathers don't care. Like, they're like, you know, just turn their backs a lot and shit. They never really care. Like, we care. You know, sometimes it might not look like it might be a little bit nonchalant. But at the end of the day, like, we're just not as apavorado. How would I say that in English? Like,
worried, kind of like hovering.
We don't match the woman's energy sometimes, you know, and that makes it seem like we don't give a damn, or like, you know, we're putting our kids in danger.
It's just, I think that some of the stuff that's said, like women care more for the kids or this and that, or show more effect, and that we're like more absent, I guess. I think it's to a point where like we're always working. So as a provider, we're not there all the time as much as people want us to be there, but we have to provide. And as a man, like especially me, Michelle knows, I've been getting up early, coming home late, and gotta pay the bills. I want to give my kids everything, and I get them whatever they want. So I might not be there, but whatever I'm doing in that absent, that I'm not there, it's for them. It's for my wife, my kids, my house. So trying to provide for them.
I'm going to share my perspective on that side now. So I commend you guys for working hard as you guys do, because you guys work out in the field, in the cold, in the rain, in the snow, and all that stuff, right? But do you guys think that at the end of the day, where us as women, as mothers, we have to pick up no matter what, if we like it or not, on the other end? So like, you're going out early in the morning, you're coming home late at night, but Michelle's not a stay-home mom. She works too. She gets out early, she comes home, and she still has to be on mom mode 24/7.
Oh no, Michelle works way more than I do. Like way more. Like
Shout out to Michelle.
For what I do compared to what she does at work and then at home, it's way more. She doesn't stop until like she goes to bed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But sometimes I try to pick up, I try to help out, like not all the time. I'm not saying like, every day, but like, usually in the mornings I'll pack the kids' lunch, which is not a big thing, but it helps out.
It helps.
And there's days that when I do come home early, I'll try to like cook something, or I'll try to help out with the kids' uniform, just so like she doesn't have to do that in the morning. She'll have more time in the morning. But whatever she asks me to do, like when she wants, like I do it. If she asks me to do it, I'll do it. Sometimes if I see it, I'll do it. But I'm not saying like I'm the perfect husband.
So,
but I try to, I try to help her out, because I know that like, and I give her props for it, because she works a lot more than I do. Even though I'm working physically, she's over there, and like.
So do you think that because us as women, we pick up anywhere we need to, it kind of allows men, fathers, to kind of relax a little bit more on that aspect? Like you said, if I see it, I'll do it, maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
But us as women, we have to get it done, otherwise nobody gets it done.
Yeah. I think it's like your instinct, though.
Yeah. I don't know about me, like you guys, but I be blind to a lot of shit.
Apparently, son, man.
You walked around the house with the eyes closed.
That's just the reality.
Daddy needs new glasses.
So you got to tell me what I need to do. It's not that I don't want to do it. It's just I need to be told. Maybe once, maybe twice, and I'll pick up on it and start doing it.
So have you been picking up your socks?
Yeah,
Yes.
just making sure.
Socks have been picked up. But like, I just want to, like what Jenny said. Being a mom is like completely opposite from being a dad.
Yeah.
It's like you guys, your brain never stops. You're always you're always doing something.
It's okay.
You're always thinking about something next. What's to buy? Diapers, wipers, whatever. You're buying everything. Your brain's always going a million miles a minute. I don't know if I could deal with that.
Yeah.
Because like I work hard. I get home, and I'm completely like drained, right? And you guys work hard, come home, and you still going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So I commend mothers for that.
And
Absolutely.
it's not going unnoticed. We see it, I mean, we don't tell you guys, because then we have to be doing it every day, because that's what you guys do every day, But it's just like when I come home throughout the weekdays, I'll like video games. Like I don't play Monday through Friday. I'll play Friday night, but throughout the work week, I don't play, because I'm always like doing something. Or either I'm like just sitting on the couch with the kids while she's doing something, because if I'm not around, like with the kids, they're like nagging the crap out of her, or like they're annoying the crap out of her, and it doesn't give her the space to do what she needs to do. But sometimes, if I don't go to work, I'll just play, and and I'll try to do laundry. I'll fold clothes. She's like, hey, there's lunch to be done. So then like I'll do the laundry, I'll fold the clothes, and I'll leave everything folded. And I'll put my stuff away. I'll let her put her stuff away.
So really quick, do you want to share how it came to be that you started helping out in some of these little areas? Because it wasn't always like that.
Let me drink my tea.
I don't understand the question. Repeat it, please. Rephrase it.
We're going to walk out of the room, guys.
So originally, I was doing all of that stuff,
Yeah.
right? I was packing the snacks and the lunches and all of that, and it was just really overwhelming, and it was just, I was always so frustrated, and we were always arguing, and then how did it come to be? Because it wasn't a natural instinct for you to say, oh, let me help her out with like packing the lunches every morning, so that's one less thing that she can handle.
No, you asked me to do it.
Right.
The same.
Communication.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
It's like Danny said, you have to tell me what to do.
No, like sometimes, like if you don't say it, like and then you're doing it, for us it's just like okay, like she's doing it, it's fine. But like if
We're
you're
used to our mothers.
yeah, if we're like, but if you're like, hey, it's like Michelle's like, hey, can you do the laundry? And I'm like, all right, cool, I'll go and I'll do the laundry. I'll fold it.
I'm gonna tell you where that's frustrating for us, because nobody has to tell us what to do. We know the laundry has to be done. We know the dishes have to be washed. We know the kids need diapers. We know the frustrating part is that although we have all that going on, we have to micromanage you guys.
But that's what the motherhood, like housewife. I don't want to sound like what is a misogynist.
This is what we saw growing up.
This is yeah,
Is
like
it
this
not?
is from like back in Brazil. Like I don't know nowadays, it's equal rights and whatever. But back in the days, it's like moms.
Boy, if you don't get yourself together.
No, but like back when in Brazil, my dad used to work. My mom used to be a housewife, so she did everything: the cleaning, the cooking, everything. I don't remember seeing my dad doing most of the stuff, other than But nowadays, everything's changed. Nowadays, everything.
I think we
changed
mentioned
up.
this before that now women
And it's
do.
not that we're against the change.
Yeah.
that you guys don't know how.
Not accustomed to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can see till this day, you guys come home and the woman instinct kicks in, and it's like it's dirty, you gotta clean. It's this, it's gotta get this done, because you guys, your head is there. We're not there all the time.
So, do you guys want to raise your boys to be different? Do you want to raise your boys to know how to cook, clean, and do all of the house duties so that when they do have wives, they don't have to be told what to do?
Well, I like when Nathan Mackay, I started like trying to give him chores. Well, not chores, but it's like, hey, the dogs needs water. The dogs needs food. Oh, open up the door, take them outside. They come home. Hey, why is your shoe over here in the living room and not on the shoe rack? Why is your jacket on the floor, and not in the hanger? You know what I'm saying? So I tried to tell him. Michelle always tells them too. I told him, you don't have a maid around here. They're towels. Like, they'll get out of the shower, the towels, they'll just throw on the floor.
I feel like that's a Brazilian saying. So sou empregada, no.
No, exactly.
And I say that to everyone in my house.
Because if I had to pick after them, I'm working. So I'm trying to get them.
So you're teaching them so that you don't have to do it.
Or Michelle doesn't have to do it. So, it starts there.
I think chores are essential. I never had chores growing up. That's why I don't do none. I don't know how to do none of that shit.
Me neither.
I'm
Tá
learning
ouvindo, né,
now.
Zilda?
I'm learning all this stuff now.
I think chores is more like an American thing.
Yeah.
Like, growing up, I never had.
You guys being raised, right, with Brazilian moms. Did she have you guys doing chores early? Cleaning, cooking, clothes?
Yeah, I think for
My
women,
mom.
I think for women, yeah.
I used to come home from school and I had like an hour to have my lunch.
How old
And
were
then I was early, like 10, 11. My parents both were
think so
working.
starts.
And I used to have my lunch, and then I used to take an hour nap, and then I used to get up and have to do the dishes, clean up the house. Or sometimes I would oversleep, and it would be like half hour before my mom was coming home, and I had to literally get up and rush. And that was my argument with Jackie all the time, because Jackie never wanted to do any of it, and she would just sleep right through it. So
We're not going to have no Jackie slander here.
yeah. Look at her man coming in defense. But she knows it. She says it. She used to take advantage of it because I had to get it done, right?
Yeah.
So my parents, but then again, at my house, we were two girls. We didn't have a boy. So I don't know how my parents would have raised a boy.
So that would bring me to my point is that since 10 years old, you've been doing wife duties.
Yeah.
But
So your parents were building you up. That generation, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying our generation is what
I
the
think-
parents taught their daughters.
I think it's right because there's women nowadays
in some
that
cases, like
there's women nowadays they don't know how to cook.
right.
Yeah.
Why?
But there's more men that don't know how to cook than women.
But because men they don't grow up to like. I'm not saying they're not supposed to.
I mean, nowadays,
I cook.
Niggas could cook.
I can cook.
The best chefs in the world are men.
Like I cook. If Michelle doesn't eat my food because I use a lot of seasoning because I like flavor.
Jamaican.
But I cook. But I feel like there's a lot of women out that they don't know how to cook. They don't know how to do a lot of stuff because they're so used to
Everything's changing.
not doing nothing.
So, you guys all have sisters, right? How many sisters do you have, David?
2.
2 sisters. You
I
have
have one
one, and
sister.
then Danny has one sister. Were your sisters raised differently?
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, all right. So my eldest sister, Lorena, between her and my youngest sister, Mila, it's 2 completely different humans. Raised 2 completely
Different
ways.
generations, right?
Yeah, but it's crazy. It's like Lorena's a complete woman. She knows how to do everything. You could drop her off in the rainforest. She'll take care of herself.
Because back then,
Mila, you could lock her inside of a grocery store on the zombie apocalypse and she'll starve. Like, for real.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Like I feel that's like back then it was a different.
But this is the thing, though. This is what I feel. Like, that problem turned out because my parents were young when my sister was in the house. Now the people, they got old, they don't got that energy they had, you know what I'm saying? So like now the youngest child, they're doing a whole bunch of shit. And they're just like, all right, I'll take care of you later. Later never comes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a brother, and he had to.
You had? What'd you do with him?
What happened to him? What?
Yo, Mikey, are you locked
good?
somewhere? Are you good? You need
Text
help?
us, bro.
I have a
Tween.
brother, a tween. And he had to do the same things as me. Obviously, like, he had more freedom. But when it came to, like, cleaning our rooms and making sure that we, like, ate our, like, made
Yeah,
our
that's
own
true,
food
yeah.
and stuff, like, we were treated the same. Eventually, as we got older, he had more freedom. I think also it was, like, a personality thing where he had more friends, too, so he was just always out. I didn't really have anyone, so all I had to do was just be home and do stuff, so.
But your mom taught you. I bet your mom taught you
But-
more, like
Why don't you bring
you,
her in?
than she like with Carol. I bet
Oh my god!
But they're
Yeah.
complete,
It's a
like,
whole different generation.
years?
11 years.
11 years.
That's
Okay.
that's
That's the
that
same
new
thing with Danny
generation.
and his sister. How many years are you guys apart?
9.
9 years. That's a big difference.
okay, but
I'm
it's-
sure that that his sister gets more slack than he does because of her generation.
No, I'm not. I'm not talking
I
about
got
that.
the most.
You did more than she did, really?
He's a boy. He's,
Yeah.
he's a little
Boy.
boy.
Dude, my sister had to do laundry. I never did laundry when I lived with my mom.
What?
But you think that the expectations that your parents had on top of you were bigger than they have on her? That she's young, like work. When did you start working? Is that because you weren't in school?
2
Like,
years ago.
did you?
Describe work.
When he had Lucas, I'm just kidding.
Describe work.
Legally.
Like-
Legally.
All right, like 6 years ago.
What I'm trying
Don't
to say.
judge me.
So when me and Jackie were 4 years difference, right? I started working a lot younger than Jackie did, not because she didn't like working, but because my parents didn't pressure me to work, but my parents did put me in a lot more extracurriculum school activities than they did Jackie. So it automatically kind of I grew up kind of on that, like on the go. I got a school, work, all of it, right? And with Jackie, it was kind of like a free-for-all. Oh, yeah, go to school when you want, if you want to. The expectations on the younger one were less than on me. That's how I feel. It might be.
Like what I'm saying is just like it's because the generation is like it's changing now. Like I guess I'm not sure, I wasn't there, but like Andrea, taught Michelle how to do all the stuff, and then now Carol, I don't really see it because we got married and we moved out, but it might have changed a little bit. That like not as much, but like, hey, you gotta learn how to cook, you gotta learn how to do this, because back then, if you brought your girlfriend home, your mom's like, she doesn't know how to cook. She's not gonna be a good wife to you. Nowadays, there's still moms that's like they still ask the same question. Like, is she know how to cook? Is she gonna take care of my son? Is she gonna be able to do this and this?
And I think that's where...
I'm not
it's
trying
like,
to be sexist or anything,
right,
but that's how it was back then.
But that is
and
like
then-
a lot of mother-in-laws don't like the daughter-in-law because they put their man to work. And they're like, how dare you make my son do the work? But like, you were once me. do you like being somebody else's maid? Right. So why do you think that I have to be picking up your son's underwears?
Yeah.
So that's why, and I don't know if you do or you don't, but I'm still gonna do it anyways. I'm raising the boys to be self-sufficient. Where like they cook with me, they make. I mean, obviously those roasted red potatoes, Nathan makes it better than I do, but I'm raising the boys to be self-sufficient and they do their own thing. Obviously, like, you know,
and that's
struggle,
a good thing because
we'll
mostly these women nowadays they don't want to cook. They don't know how to cook.
These
They don't.
women-
No, not that they don't know how to. They don't
on.
want to cook.
Wait a minute.
Oh, they don't know how to cook. Sorry.
Yeah, don't
They
want to
weren't taught.
because I don't.
Exactly.
But do you guys think, as fathers of boys, that teaching your son how to cook is like a girly thing?
All right, y'all. So check it.
Oh,
Let me split my 2 cents real quick, y'all.
My son Nathan keeps asking for a kitchen, and I'm like,
I
dude,
bought him a
dude,
kitchen for Christmas. Sorry.
Listen, I was like, dude, really, dude? Like, why you want a kitchen for?
Dude.
Like, you do.
Chefs, bro.
I know, but like,
Right.
yo,
But why?
no.
What are you scared that?
No, I worked in the kitchen before. I was a
Okay,
cook before.
So what
you
is
know?
it? You don't want to teach your kid how to cook?
I would, but
The world's perspective. On it.
Right.
no,
the-
it's not that. It's just that like, I'm not gonna say it. All right.
You could be honest because our generation it was built for that. Our generation was for boys to play with cars and girls to play with dolls.
Yeah.
And I this week bought my kid a car set because I'm like, if she likes playing with cars, it isn't gonna change who they are, and that's where the stigma comes from. They think that just because your kid is cooking, that he's gonna be feminine. And it's okay for him to have those traits because
I wouldn't be worried about the kitchen. I'd be worried if it was dolls.
Oh, I mean,
The kitchen, I think, is a unisex thing.
well, no, I bought them kitchen stuff. I buy.
I
my
get it,
Nathan
but it was
kitchen stuff.
instilled
I'm
in you
I
to
thought it was gonna be
feel
a
that
phase,
way.
like a dinosaur. Like, hey, he's over dinosaurs.
right.
He's into guns now.
He's not over the kitchen. He's gonna be a chef.
Yeah, he's into the kitchen. And then now Makai's in like in the kitchen, and it's fine. Like, I'm not like saying like anything bad about it, but
It's the way you were brought up. It's
Yeah.
those feelings that you don't have it, but you don't want to have it, but it came with
Yeah.
you. Go, David, with your 2 cents.
Yeah, my 2 cents is that's against. So like, you guys are inside the home with the ladies and all that, so you guys are like pretty much balancing out duties and errands and stuff like that. I get to be a father by myself every other weekend. So like for 3 days, it's just me and the kid. So he's seeing me like do stuff around the house. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta cook, I gotta clean, I gotta do all this stuff because I'm alone. You know. So he's starting to see like, yo, this guy knows how to do this, da. So a lot of times he asks me like a few questions, like we're talking, and you know what I'm saying, like I'm presenting the world to him through like my life. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how it is inside of his house, but like, you know, when he comes over to my crib, it's like, yo, so this is how dad lives. You know, so I'm just exposing him to like all this stuff that you just got to do in life. And a lot of times, like, yeah, that's cooking. It must be nice to have somebody cook for you, like you guys doing shit. But
sometimes
homie here got it, you know.
Thanks
I
to
can't
Uber.
relate. Nobody cooks for me.
Thanks to Uber Eats.
But you know, so it's like he's seeing it from like my world, you know what I'm saying, like how it's done by yourself. You know, so it's I wouldn't say like, you know what I'm saying, it's what I wanted, but at least like from this point of view, you know, he's starting to see that, well, everything his mom does at her house, you know what I'm saying, I'm pretty much doing it over here too, as far as errands and responsibilities and all these little things go. Plus, on top of that, like we're having bomb conversations while we're doing stuff, you know, like picking up and taking a shower with this and that. All that stuff I got to be responsible for, brushing teeth and stuff. And it's a fight, dude. Like I said, how you moms go through all this fight to have this kid like sit down and eat and take a shower and then go to sleep and then do this and that. So it's good because it's like, you know, he's getting it straight from me without any interruptions. But after those 3 days are over, I don't know how he is on the other side, you know.
Nah, but I would love to raise my kid to be independent.
I was gonna say it's not
nobody.
even for respecting their significant other, but for them to learn how to live on their own. Because at some point we want them to go out for college or whatever it is and live on their own. I don't want my kid living with me until they're 30. Sorry, but I want you out of my house, and I want you to know how to live on your own, so I don't have to go over there and cook for you.
Yeah.
Every week.
And I don't want my kid
to depend on a woman.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't want my son to depend on a woman.
The same way that I want my
nothing.
daughters to go out there and work hard for their shit so that they don't ever have to say I depend on a man. Even if they are a stay-at-home mom, to have that security that if I don't need you, I could walk out of this relationship today.
Yeah.
because nowadays I feel the way we were raised, my parents, right? My dad always gave her the freedom to stay home, to do whatever, right? And then now that they are getting divorced, my mom had a hard time transitioning into the alone world because my dad always catered to her, always.
Bro.
So she was kind of stuck in that relationship for a very long time because dependent. And she might not realize that, but me now as an adult, I'm like, you dependent on dad emotionally, somewhat financially, because now you have to go out, you have to make more money than you did. Before you could have whatever job because my dad would always cover, even if she would get, you know, a part-time job, for example. So I think that is one thing I want to raise my kids to know. Like, you need to go out there and do it for you. Yeah. And yes, you guys grow together, but you need to have your end so that you can be independent, so that you can live your life the way you want to live and not based off on someone else.
Yeah, and the world that we live in today, it gives us the opportunity to do that, especially women. Like, across the map, women are starting to change. Like, they're not becoming dependent on a man like it used to be back in the day, you know? Some girls out there with OnlyFans that they got houses and shit, they're like 19. You know what I'm saying? So, like, nowadays, the way that the world is set up, the way that the world is set up.
But it's the way the world is set up. That's true.
It's easy, yo. It's getting easier for a woman. You know what I'm saying?
It's true though.
It's getting easier because they're not being shamed for it anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not a stigma anymore to go out there
Sell your body.
and sell your body.
Exactly. So, like, you know.
Because to be very honest, if you're on Instagram posting bikini pictures, it's the same thing as being on OnlyFans, which are making money now.
No, it ain't.
No.
For the girls that are exposing their bodies that way.
There's a lot of people that, especially females nowadays, like, all they have to do is post, like, you know, an ass picture or titty picture, and
because you guys are
they
all
be Instagram
clicking
models.
like on it.
Well, but we're guys.
I wish I could post my foot and make $1 million.
Yeah.
You probably could, yo. That's the scary part about
right.
it, yo. You probably could. Yo, there's probably some digital pimps out there and shit, pimping through OnlyFans. Like, the world is just a whole different place than, it's a digital world. It's a whole different place than when we were raised. Complete different planet than what our parents were raised. But, you know, now we all got the same problems that we got to raise kids in this era. You know what I'm saying?
And you don't want your kids doing that, right?
Exactly.
You don't want your daughters doing that.
On OnlyFans?
Yeah. Would you like that?
Me a
No, would you?
$1 million home?
You gonna sell?
Say she is. Is that
I'm just
acceptable
kidding.
job?
Yeah. Would you be
Okay,
happy
so
with it?
because of how I was raised, my moral, I don't want to say morals. I'm not shaming anyone that's out there on OnlyFans.
It's okay to shame them.
I wish I had a body like y'all so I could be selling my body too. But would I want that for my daughter? I don't think so. I don't, not that if that's, I don't know. That's hard.
The internet is a dangerous place.
It's a dangerous place.
Yeah.
Would
You're
you want that
exposing
for
yourself.
your son?
No.
But that's the thing.
And
There's
listen.
options for the bad, but there's also more options for the good. That's what we got to see.
You know what annoys me the most about the society we're in now?
They're all liberal.
You
Everything's
see
okay.
how she said, I don't want to shame anybody?
Yes.
Is it all right if that's how she feels and it shames somebody? It's not intentional. She
Everybody's-
doesn't know who she's shaming. But if she has an opinion and somebody doesn't like it halfway across the world, is it her fault?
The problem is that everybody gets canceled for any word you say nowadays.
Well, you can't cancel me because I ain't got shit.
Well, that's a great.
We're living a sensitive world right now.
It's a very sensitive world, and it's
Bunch
like
of crybabies.
before we used to be able to make jokes that didn't offend anyone. It's not an offensive way. It's
Everybody's
just,
getting
it's to be
offended
funny.
nowadays.
Now everything is offensive, and it's really hard for our generation to live in a new generation because we have thick skin. There's nothing you can say to me that call me fat, call me ugly.
Yeah.
I don't care. You ain't paying my bills. You're not taking care of my kids. I got my shit together.
We
Whatever
we
you
always
say,
see the joke in it.
right? But like you can call me whatever it is. You can feel however you want to feel. But until you are bringing money into my house, your opinion it doesn't matter to me. Rather, everybody else is like, oh, you can't say that. Oh, you can't. No, God forbid you publicly tell people how you feel.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to hurt nobody's feelings to begin with.
But what?
You know?
Where? To what extent
Everybody gets
is
their
it
feeling hurt.
Right.
Yeah, everything.
I think it's only wrong if you're intentionally hurting somebody's feelings. So, like, if I know something about you and then I make a comment to intentionally poke at you, I think that's wrong. But if I'm speaking in general about my opinion on a subject and I don't know how you feel about it, and one of you get offended, that's something you got to take up with yourself. Because it's not my fault I feel the way you do. Because if you were to express your feelings and it's the opposite of mine and I feel offended, but that's my problem I felt offended.
Yeah,
That makes sense?
Yeah. Well, you could be offended by anything somebody says. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it's something that's inside of you and shit.
But nowadays, everything's offensive.
Everything is
Everything's
considered bullying
offensive.
nowadays. Like when we were kids, I used to have these nicknames that did I like them? Not really. They still call me Cornielli for whatever reason because they thought I liked
you're
corn.
corny.
I'll remember that.
Right, but did it change who I am? No. Is it
Builds character.
builds? That's the thing. We say this all the time. Builds character, right? But I don't feel like this generation is building any character. I think everybody just needs to be accepting of things that because society thinks that is what should be done. And I don't agree with that. I'm going to have a really big problem when my girls start going to school with what they're trying to teach in school right now.
My biggest worry is raising a son in a society that wants to eliminate masculinity.
Exactly.
What is masculinity for you guys?
It's just having your own opinion. You can not like what you want to not like, and you could be like aggressive if you need to be aggressive. I don't think there's nothing wrong in aggression if it's channeled the right way. If it's you're not over the top or nothing like that. I just feel like right now, if you're aggressive in any type of manner towards any subject or anything, you're completely isolated and shamed for it. Which brings me to the point where people don't want to be shamed, but they have no problem in shaming the stuff that they're against.
And I what in my perspective is I think that what's happening now is that you're basically shoving it down my throat. So you want me to accept the way you feel and the way that you think, but you're not respecting my point of view. You're not respecting my thoughts. You're not respecting the way that I feel about it. And that's where my conflict is like, yes, I want to be respectful to you, but where is my respect? Why do I have to agree with you?
Yeah, this world, we just gotta all learn how to play nice.
Let's go back to the 90s.
Yeah, but see, the 90s was the complete opposite of what we're in now.
We
would have been smoking right now indoors, man, a cigarette in this podcast, because the 90s was a whole different.
And kids were gambling and drinking with their fathers, and that's not what we want now.
They weren't sensitive.
Right, the whole having your kid go get a beer in the fridge for you is kind of like.
Wait, is that wrong?
No.
Is that wrong?
No, but I'm saying like you are exposing him to the alcohol.
You better not bring it close, either.
Yo, did you ever shake that shit up before you gave it to your pops? Yo? Bro, one time my stepfather got mad at him. He pissed me off, yo. I was mad at him. I shook that shit up, yo. As soon as he opened it, poof.
Here's what you get for making me get you alcohol.
I was like, yo, yeah. I was learning how to get revenge from an early age, yo.
So, how would you guys deal with teaching your children about if they get bullied at school? Or
can I be honest?
Safe space here. You might get canceled, but it's okay. I'll give them your address.
Teach you.
We'll
teach you how to change the narrative.
If my kid's getting bullied, I'm gonna tell them to fight back.
Well, how about if it's not like physical? Like if they're just being bothered with verbal words.
Then hang back. Start hanging back. Start saying shit. I feel like if you give room to people that are already doing that to your kid, it's never gonna end. So he either has to. It's my opinion. This is my experience actually. So like, the way I dealt with it growing up is if you were bullying me in any type of way, I'm fighting you. Cause you're not gonna bully me. No, I'm not ignoring.
Just be like,
because you know why? Cause I think I tried ignoring, and it just happens every day. So like, to what point are you gonna ignore? How long are you gonna ignore? Till you're in high school, till you don't have to see them anymore when you're in the adult life?
And then you're an adult being bullied?
Are you gonna like tell him, and specifically Lucas, because that's your child now, but or Nathan Mackay and James
Brown.
Are you gonna teach them to first advocate for themselves and then like tell them adult?
No, I would tell them, listen, if you're being bullied verbally, right? You're talking about verbally bullying?
Yeah, and then like tell someone first, and if then that doesn't get solved, then we throwing hands.
I don't know.
See,
I don't know if I would tell him, because that is just gonna bring out more bullying, depending on the school system you're in, right? So if he's getting bullied and he goes and tells the teacher, listen, so and so is bullying me, that shit's gonna leak. That he said that. No matter what, how good the school is, it's gonna come around. The kid's gonna get called into the office. That's gonna be said. And he's going to immediately come out that office and accuse him of snitching, right?
So you're going to teach Lucas not to be a snitch?
No, he's not going to snitch. You got to handle your own. Don't rely on other people.
That's right.
If the problem is with you, handle your shit. It sounds in this day and age, it's gonna sound fucked up, but I don't care.
It's hard.
If you're being verbally bullied and you already I'll have him talk to the kid. Listen, man, I don't like the way you're talking to me, and I feel like either we don't be friends, or we just go our separate ways. Something. If that does not work, punch him in his face.
Yeah, yo, that's fathering right there. You know what I'm saying? That's some advice that no mama's really gonna give.
No, because they never
what I'm saying?
been through that.
No, my opinion, it would be like the last thing I say, because Michelle wouldn't let me go like tell Nathan what to do, or Makai, because whatever I say,
it's gonna be violent.
yes.
Makai knows what
So
to do.
it's just like,
I just think it's
so
hard.
Michelle's gonna have to handle it first, and I guess if it continues, then I have to jump in. But Michelle wouldn't like take my advice and to what to tell Nathan, or if I do tell Nathan what to do, she's gonna cancel my advice and do what she wants to do.
I just think
Michelle's the talk.
I just think
let's
it's
talk.
harder for me because
She is an
She's just soft.
I'm in the education field, and I have to deal with all kinds of parenting. And I have to be, and then it all falls back on me when children start getting hands and
She's
they're
the one
aggressive.
separating the fights.
I'm the one separating the fights. I'm the one that's dealing with the issues. Oh, why did you allow this bullying to happen when I didn't even know about it? It all comes back to me. And so it's really hard for me so my advice is to tell someone first, because then I can jot these things down into the system, and then when that other child comes, or along with their friends, they come and they get physical. Well, now you don't belong in this school, right, because this has been happening. And look on your report. Look at how many times you've been bothering this child. In the cameras, look at how many times you've been bothering this child. Oh, in the other classrooms, look at how many times you've been bothering this child. Now, because the child told on you, now you feel some type of way, and now you handle it with your own business. Well, now we have to go into other kinds of consequences. So like,
let me break it down in a different aspect, right? Because you're thinking just school. So if you go to school around here, it's regional, right? Not so much your school, right? But say you go to Blackham. If you go to Blackham, you're regional. You're gonna live in this area to go to that school.
right.
So
then it goes outside of the school.
it goes outside of the school, and
Which
he's
can
gonna
still-
carry that name to snitch for the rest of his life.
Right.
So I feel like if you don't want your kid to get punched in his face, teach him not to bully people.
Right.
It goes.
I agree.
As a girl,
it goes with the parenting
But
first.
it does because it's students of a school, even if things happen outside of the school. And I know it's harder for us in the urban society to like understand these things, but even if it's because it's a student, even if it's something that happens outside of the school, there still can be measures that take place. And I know that here, because it's like a consistent cycle where like it's not going to end, where yes, things are always going to keep happening outside of the school, and it's not a cycle that we can ever break. And I think that's where it's just hard to figure out the right way to do things.
I kind of agree with to an extent what Danny's saying, because when I was bullied, and I went to school in Brazil, so it was a little different than here, but I was followed. I walked home from school and they would follow me and making fun of me, making jokes. I fell inside of, what's it called?
Oh my God, you fell
Manhole.
inside of that?
What is it?
Manhole.
A manhole. In Brazil, the manholes are sometimes open, and I was trying to run away from my bully, and I fell inside of the damn manhole.
Oh my God.
But it did create thick skin. I am somebody that I clap back easily. Like, I will not get offended at anything you say, and I will clap back, and you will hear me say things that you don't like back. But I did reach out to my parents a lot. My parents would have to go pick me up from school a lot. But you know what I also did? I made friends with all the boys. I used to not have girlfriends in school. They were all boys, because I created a way of defending myself. If I hung out with the guys, nobody would mess with me. So I used to be surrounded by like 6 dudes that were my friends, and everybody knew, like, I'm not gonna mess with Dunny because she's surrounded by the boys, and the boys would not let anybody bully me. So I made friends with, like, I figured it out. I figured out a way to defend myself, because going to the teacher, going to the higher ups weren't helping me. They would just be like, it's okay, we're gonna call the parents. And some parents are the parents that are be like, your kid is too soft.
So you found a way to defend yourself.
I found a way of defending myself.
See, like what you were saying too, as a father, we gotta sometimes teach our kids how to defend themselves. There was a situation where it was out of school. I was at James's football game, and somebody on the other team, this other kid, who's a little bit bigger than him, and he was doing all this fuckery in front of my kid, like teasing him, and he was like, it was football, so he was like manhandling my kid, and I was starting to get pissed, yo. So I'm like, all right, when's this break gonna come? I'm gonna tell my kid a few things, give him a little pointers, So I told him, I was like, yo, grab that kid. Don't push him back. Grab that kid and push him down. You know what I'm saying? Like, bring him down. I give him a few little pointers. Yo, he did that. He did that the whole game. He was like, everybody got his hand on. He would just push him down. You know what I'm saying? And he felt great about it. Like, that just boosted up his confidence. That little trick that I taught him, and it worked. The kid stopped messing with him. I mean, he became the bully after that. I had to tell him, yo, chill. But it's just that little simple thing of learning how to get over that situation. So we need to keep an eye open of, like, picking up on these things. Like, yo, because he didn't come tell me, like, yo, this kid's, but I picked it up. I'm like, yo, that motherfucker's fucking with my kid. So, like, just by that little advice, and he did that, and he, like, got over that obstacle. And, dude, to this day, this kid, like, you know what I'm saying? Whenever there's that situation, he's going to know exactly what to do. So sometimes, like you said, like, sometimes you got to teach your kid how to, like, push back.
If you instill walking away and going to teachers, he's going to do that with every problem he has.
Yeah.
He's never going to face it head on. Certain scenarios, yeah, I agree. I'm not completely against it, but it's just when it comes to that kind of stuff in school with boys, it's complicated. Because I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah, we been there. Yo, we were boys, we were little kids too, man. Like, we know how it is.
Girls, it's like that too.
It's like, look at Gabriel. Gabriel used to be fat. And because, like, people used to pick on him because he was fat. Gabriel can talk his way in and out of any situation.
Yeah, Gabriel would hang the shit out you.
Bro, Gabriel.
That was his reaction.
That was his thing. That's how
you learn how to clap back.
Yeah.
I guess, like, I think it was, like, this year still. Like, Nathan was getting picked on by the, because it's like, he's little. Like, he's 7, but he doesn't look like a 7-year-old.
Makai looks bigger than
so
he
Michelle
does.
told me, they're like, hey, some of the boys are making fun of him because of his size, and they're, like, all a little taller than him and stuff. And, like, I couldn't really say nothing because whatever I was going to, talk to Nathan. And, obviously, I was going to get my feelings and tell Nathan, hey, Nathan, tell him, like, say this, say that. You know what I'm saying? But
bring back the yo mama jokes.
Yeah, Michelle wouldn't let me, though. Like, oh, you can't say nothing. We can't do it. You can't, like, tell Nathan to say this. So I just stay quiet. But
nice.
But, it starts at one point.
But what would you have said?
Dude, I'll tell him to make fun of the kid too.
Well,
make something like
you gotta teach him some stuff.
Find something in that kid to make fun of. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want like Makai. Makai is more like he's more feisty.
You don't even have to teach him.
Like Makai
is the bully.
Yeah,
he's not, but it's instilled in him to be like, I don't want to mess with that kid.
Lunches.
He will.
But like, I don't want Nathan to depend on Makai. And his younger brother.
Well, I think
it's gonna be like everybody hates Chris, Drew and Chris.
Exactly.
So Makai's gonna be Drew.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I can't say nothing because I'm more like and then Michelle is.
Well, the thing about
you have to talk to him. You have to talk to the teacher. You gotta talk
the thing about the him being short. I don't remember that. I remember about the pants, but. The thing about him being short was...
Yeah, what's wrong with his pants? He told me something about the pants, but it's more because of his size. Like, because the kids make fun of him because he's short and blah, blah, blah.
No, my thing was because he is smaller than your average second grader. I'm already seeing in the future, he most likely, or there's a big chance that he can get bullied for it. And I was telling you that us as parents and his family members... a lot of people keep mentioning to him like, oh, you need to eat more so you can get whatever. And I was like, we're already like bringing down his self-confidence. So when he goes to school and someone goes and tells him, oh, you're small, he's already going to be like, and I'm like, no, like, we're not going to say that to him. He's fine just the way he is. So that when he does go to school and then the kids are picking on him, he's going to be like, what? Stop being stupid. Shut up. Get out of my face. Like, just bye. You're just saying nonsense.
But you're
building his confidence.
You have to build his confidence.
Well, and I'm gonna like try to make him like turn the negative of what people are saying.
I don't think
And-
people should be saying it at all. Like as
Well,
family
they're gonna
members.
say it. What are you gonna do? You're gonna be there telling kids
No,
to be
no, no,
quiet?
I'm saying us, like family members.
What?
I'm saying us as family members.
I'm gonna teach them how to use that and make like you said about Gabriel, like use that, like turn that into a joke where you're gonna like turn it, like throw
Fire
it back
back.
at them.
Right, but
and like
our generations use that
or-
because our group, like we literally bully each other to like the finest of bullying. Like we literally bring each other down. But it's funny for us. It's kind of like, yo, why are you wearing that shirt? You look ugly as fuck with that shirt. Like
That's our form of entertainment.
yeah, our entertainment is to literally like
Toxic as
hang
fuck.
each other. We're toxic. But because we're all so self-confident on ourselves, like I can speak, like I don't care that you're gonna make fun of me for whatever. Like my man will come up to me and be like, you got a whole mustache going on, what's going on? A lot of girls probably will even be like, what?
I tell Michelle that all the time.
Right, but do you think or sometimes he was like, bro, are you
Good,
not
my
gonna
boy.
shave your legs? And I'm like, you know what? I don't give a shit because I had a hard week. I have fucking kids. Like, you want to pay for me to get laser removal or something since you're like I have my clapbacks. A lot of women though won't and will feel like that. And a lot of people will say that that's a man bringing you down or whatever. No, in my relationship, I think it's funny. Me and him, we joke a lot. We make fun of each other a lot, and we're happy.
It just
for the
doesn't
most
hurt
part.
anymore, Dunny. That's why.
So am I letting my man bully me? But I bully him too.
I bully Michelle all the time.
Like I'd be looking at his plate, be like, "You gonna
Those
eat all that?
characters.
You sure you gonna eat all that?"
Makes me feel so bad.
I'm Michelle, please.
But he's still here though.
It's just a toxic. It's a toxic relationship.
But because our generation is you have a thick skin, so is it toxic?
No, I think it's good, yo, to like be able to hang somebody. You know, that's using your creativity and your imagination. You know what I'm saying? That's a good form of like being quick and stuff, you know? So a lot of times, like, yeah, there's like malicious intent sometimes, but sometimes it's playful. The other day, my son said something to my brother that I was cracking up. My brother had just came back from the barbershop. He got a shape up and everything. Had a little goatee. My kid was like, yo, you look like Falcon. Like the superhero, bro. Like hanging. But like, it was creative. I was like, yo, that shit, he
That's
does.
Nathan. He
But
needs to be all the
like,
time.
you know what I'm saying? Like to be quick, you know what I'm saying? Like have that imagination and play around with your kid like that when the time is right.
I tried to bully my
cool.
kids.
My kid,
It make them tough. I bully my kids all the
Ricky
time.
bullies Mel. She's 11 months old, and he be calling her. He be calling my poor child pão de queijo. Every time she's eating, he's like, "Bro, meatball." Like he bullies the hell out of the kids.
Yeah, but that's normal. That's normal.
Not verbally yet. I play fight with him a lot.
that's not bullying.
I bullied both
But
of them, dude.
I don't feel like he don't understand yet. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to do it until he can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, so he can feel these words.
They have to. They have to learn from the, it starts at the home. You know?
I feel like we're all in our group very competitive, and one of the things that I see happen is like if you guys are playing video games with the kids, you guys literally take it to another level where it's like if they lose, like you're a loser, you lost, and sometimes
Exactly,
I'm
yeah.
like, bro, he's 5.
I already,
Like,
I already told Jackie.
I could see Danny doing that.
Yo, Nathan loses,
I can
and,
see
and I
Dan
start
doing
making
that.
fun of him, and he cries. He cries.
That's messed
And-
up,
and-
my
and-
guy.
and-
That's messed up.
and guess what happened?
Oh, Lord.
And when he
Have mercy.
cries, guess what happened? I like, you know what? You're not coming inside the game room for another like 2 weeks. You're not gonna touch the video game. You gotta learn. You know.
I already told Jackie. Lucas isn't beating me in a video game until he can actually beat me. There ain't no
Right.
participation trophies over here.
Yeah. And Michelle gets mad at me.
You're
for,
gonna get enough participation trophies in your soccer
No.
and all that.
Okay,
Not at home.
so what about when they are in sports and like if they're playing soccer, let's say, and their team isn't that good? Are you going to down talk them and say like you're playing like shit? You need to get it together.
Yeah. You gotta. You gotta tell them. Like, yo,
Not
you gotta
like-
play
not
better.
like
You gotta
that.
like.
Not like you're playing like shit.
No. Yeah.
I know that James is in a
Football.
Oh, my
How
kid's
does
a
that
champ.
work?
I can't even say what will happen. My boy's a champ.
Okay,
But-
But what if he was? What if he loses a game? Are you gonna be the parent and say it's okay, we all lose? Or are you gonna be like play better next time and you'll win?
Whenever he loses at anything, whenever like he has any setback or whatever, like he feels defeated, I always bring up the topic of like Dragon Ball Z. I'm like, man, Goku gets his butt whooped all the time by Frieza. Remember that time? Blah, blah, blah. So like I
It took him
connect.
29 episodes to be Freezer.
Yeah, I'm like, you saw how bloody that dude was, how messed up his clothes was ripped. Like, it's not easy. Like, like you're gonna get hurt. Things is gonna sometimes it's gonna be bad for you. But just keep doing it. You know, I always tell them like, yo, no matter what, like, don't give up. Like, I know it sounds cliche and shit, but the first thing they want to do is give up. Like, nah, I don't want to do this no more, blah, 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 blah. They start getting whiny and their mood is just off. And you just got to, like, distract them. Like, yo, start making these connections. Like, hey, remember this? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then it worked out for them. It's going to work out for you if you do the same thing, you know?
But I think, like, when it comes to sports, especially us, we're dads, like, we're more into it. Like, you know, we want our kids to be the best. Like, there's no, like, hey, half-assing. You run, go for it. Why'd you miss that? Why'd you do that? Keep going, you know?
I get that.
It's like,
See, I didn't have that.
I didn't have that neither.
Your dad doing that.
No.
And I was really good. I was good at soccer, and I didn't have none of that.
Like, I played for Central
None of
for, like, a couple of games.
So
I never had, like, people coming, like, my parents to see me.
My coaches would come to my house to pick me up to go to practice.
how do you feel about that now as a father?
That shit ain't never happening with me. I don't care if I gotta leave work early.
I think
The safe space.
I've always, for me, my dad has always been very present, and that's something that I want to be for my kids. And I tried to tell Ricky that because he's not here to speak, but his dad was always out working, so his dad wasn't so present, right? And for him, he doesn't know what it is to be present because he wasn't taught that. So as we're going, he's learning like how important it is for you to show up to events with the kids, to parties. Does he love going out every single weekend to do something with the kids, like the Christmas party?
You, Michelle, Jackie, you guys have
y'all
too many
planned.
parties.
We create memories for these kids.
Yeah.
How do you feel
Sometimes
about
I create alone.
that we have so many events for the kids?
No, you guys make a lot of events.
Yeah,
Don't-
create them.
Yes,
Yes,
but
like-
for
Sometimes
Not to mention, you have 80 cousins that have birthdays
throughout
the whole
yes.
summer.
Oh man.
okay, we do have that, but I do think it's important to create those memories with all of our
see,
kids.
this is like from my perspective, if I was raised. As a kid, you know what I'm saying? I remember that house you guys had over there, like that big backyard and all that
Everybody remembers that.
So, bro, like, how old were we? Like, we all remember that. So, you know what I'm saying? That's because... What happened?
Our family doesn't have anything. Like we.
when she says
Santos?
our family is like her
Sorry.
dad's side.
Yes, me and David are cousins.
Yeah, just so you guys know, Michelle's half black. Her dad's black. That's why, you know, she's...
I thought that was because of me.
Yeah, like our family.
Anyways.
Thanks for sharing that you're in her. When she lets you.
No, our family is not really big, you know. And like we do a few things at my mom's house, but it's not compared to how it was back in the day. You know, and I feel like we didn't plan that. It was the parents planning all that shit, putting all of us together and stuff, you know. That built our bond, and I guess it built their bond too, whatever. But I feel like because you guys are all cousins and doing all this stuff, I think it's great. You know, you don't want to overstimulate your kids all the time, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let them miss one another a little bit, but I think it's good that you guys have each other and you guys do all that stuff, you know.
I think regardless if it's family, because a lot of people don't have a family as big as ours, but they have a group of friends, and I think it's cool because the way we were all raised, I think the only one that's not from our childhood is Gianni. He came later on in life, right?
I presented him to Michelle.
Right,
Yeah.
through David.
You're welcome, guys.
But it's nice to know that we have these things that we can look back and talk about when we're kids. Like with Danny, it's funny that he even married my sister because he used to be the older kid that everybody had the little crush because he had the blue eyes, the blonde kid, the white looking kid. It's true.
Ah, shit.
Jackie doesn't remember so much of him because she was much younger, but I remember him being friends with Gabriel and my other cousin Giuliano. And David was always there with us as we grew up.
Yeah.
David's siblings too. So we create this connection that now with our kids, it's so easy for us to transition to them and be able to do all of these things with them. And I love looking back and having those memories.
Yeah.
I love having connection with people now that I'm older and being able to see different perspectives of parenting, of life, of just in general. Like we all are very different from each other.
It's like a community thing, man, because like it wasn't just like a kid's play date. It would be, even if it's like an adult's birthday. You know what I'm saying? It's a party, bring everybody. So it's like everybody always, you know, from the
very
way that
rare for us to have just adult things going on.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know how everybody else is doing their thing, but, you know, from us over here, I feel like it worked. It was nice, you know. Every once in a while, yeah, you would get like, you know, you would see an adult cursing or like something that wasn't good for kids to be exposed. but most of the time we're just amongst ourselves.
I mean, you
and shit.
can't control that anyways.
Yeah.
But
we still have that now.
Right,
Yeah.
but we filter out, you know, the like we don't bring our kids over.
But you remember how you guys remember how it was. The adults would be doing their own thing. It's not like we were with them the whole party.
Exactly.
We were just on the swings over there on your little play
Right.
stand.
in the pool that wasn't really a pool. It was a fountain.
Yo, I swear to God, I was telling a story and I was thinking about that damn hole in the ground that everybody would tell, yo, stay away from that. Stay away from that shit.
It was
All the balls were falling in that shit.
My dad made a pool out of a fountain that we had in our backyard.
Jesus, yo, the most unsafe thing, yo. Like, see, stuff like that. Bro, I wouldn't have that shit around nowadays. Like, you would put, like, something over there, blah, blah, blah.
Still there.
Damn, yo.
I told Michelle, if that house is ever up for sale, I will try to buy it. Because that is
house
like
is nice.
everybody's
Falling apart.
childhood memory.
That house is nice.
Yeah. So I think it is important for us to be present in our kids' life, and it's something that our generation is more used to, and our parents' generation weren't used to. The whole soccer thing. It wasn't a thing for dads to be at soccer games. Also, the American culture. In the Brazilian culture, I don't think it's a big deal. In the American culture, it's more of like, I see a lot of dads being the ones taking them to swim. Dads being the one taking them to soccer practice.
All the American kids.
You don't really see moms. You see more of the dads.
Well, my dad had
participating.
2 jobs, so he couldn't really.
But yours is
My
a little
dad was
different because
fucking off.
your mom moved back to Brazil. How old were you?
I honestly, I don't remember.
You were young.
He was older.
No, I was
Your
like
mom?
16.
Oh, you were a little older.
Yeah.
I had just met Danny at that time.
Yeah, I was like around 16ish.
But you essentially
So-
your transition into adolescence into adult was just your father. You only had your father
Yeah.
as your so
Yeah.
he had to provide for you guys.
Yeah.
So it's not like he didn't choose to be
Oh,
there.
it was basically just me and my dad because my sister moved with her husband to Massachusetts, so it was just me and my dad. So that's where I when my dad was working, I was home from school. Like that's where I cooked. I did all that stuff.
What about your house? She was there too.
No, she wasn't living with us though.
She was always there, man. I remember.
So I think she used to live on the downstairs.
You should
on
just
the
make sure you're
first
alive
floor,
before you're not putting
and I
fire
used
in
to
the
live
house.
and I used to live on the third
Right.
floor. But anyways, I still had to do all that stuff by myself.
So, anything that you guys want to put out there for people to understand more about fatherhood, manhood?
So people understand manhood.
Any stigmas that you guys want to break and say it's really not like that?
No, I really don't care about stigmas and what other people think. I think more people should think like that.
Yeah,
Just be you.
Stop, just be you, man. This social media and all this shit is just making people compare themselves to people that is not reachable. Just let it go. Be happy. Be yourself, and control what you can control.
How do you guys feel about all of the things that have been happening lately, like with the cancellations of like Kanye and Balenciaga?
dude.
Free.
Because now it's like with social media, it's exposing everybody's
Is it though? Because Balenciaga didn't get no heat for nothing.
from here. I would say
Huh?
from the U.S. I didn't see much, but from like a lot of people, a lot of influential people that I follow in Brazil, they cut ties with Balenciaga.
But they don't really make them that much money like they do in the U.S. and
Which probably plays a big part in why they didn't
and-
speak out.
yeah, they don't do. I don't know.
How do you guys, as
Especially with
as,
child pornography, it should have been like a whole big deal
I already told you why it wasn't.
why? Tell us.
because Hollywood.
Well, child pornography is in the American government since I don't know how
Yeah,
long.
but if-
there's pedophiles,
Yeah.
files,
There's money, right?
Yeah, but then
involved?
if you talk about
Hollywood entertainment.
sorry, if you talk about gays and lesbian, and it's just a whole canceling thing. They want to cancel. You can't talk about religion. They want to they come down on you on religion, sexual whatever they preference. They come down
this
on you
part's
for
getting
that.
edited out. I can see it in Michelle's face already.
They
So
come
go
down
all
on
out,
you.
boy. Go all out. It's gonna be crazy.
No,
No,
be honest.
because me as a father, I have kids. Me as a father, I have kids, and the stuff they want to do in schools with the whole gender, what do you call it? Gender what?
neutral.
Neutral with bathrooms and locker rooms and all that stuff. I have boys. I have, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Imagine if you had
That,
girls.
if you have
Well,
girls, which is even worse.
For me, as a
You
mother
know,
of girls,
which is
I honestly don't feel comfortable with my child being using the bathroom with boys.
like yeah, and they want
And
to.
that's just my personal opinion. Like,
And they want to teach about sexual preferences to young kids that they don't know. You know what I'm saying? And then that's where
I think everything has an age and a
Exactly.
limit. And right now,
No, I
we're
think-
too free to teaching these kids
I
too
think
much information too young.
I think that stuff has to come from your parents. It doesn't have to come from teachers.
Yeah, see, so bro,
Teachers supposed to teach numbers.
exactly.
You know,
Bro, we're getting our
sexual.
parents ready for we're getting our kids ready for the world. As parents, we're getting our child, they're ready for the world. So, do your job at home. You know what I'm saying? Because when they go to school, yeah, they're gonna try to put boom, 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 boom. But if their mind is already set based on what you taught them, like, bro, go to school as a king. You know what I'm saying? Like, be the influencer. Like, yeah, listen to your teacher this and blah, 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 whoop, whoop. But accordingly, you know what I'm saying? That's why you always got to pay attention to your kids. Always ask them, like, yo, how was school? What do they teach them there? As soon as I pick up my kid, that's one of the first things I ask them. So, how's school? Like, what are you learning over there? Like, what did you learn today? Blah, blah. How was it this week? I'm picking at them to find out what the heck is going on.
So if your child says to you that they learned something that you're not in agreement with, that somebody else is teaching your kid, how would you handle that?
I'll be like, yo, is that your daddy? I'm your daddy. That's your teacher. Your teacher's over there to teach you this, this, and that. Whoop, whoop. Depending on the topic, I'll tell them, like, yo, don't listen to your teacher on this. Listen to me. Listen to your mom's. You know what I'm saying? That's it. You know what I'm saying? I'm your daddy, boy.
So you wouldn't bring it up to the school and say,
Depending
I
on
don't
what
feel
it is,
comfortable with what
depending on
you're
what it
teaching?
is, I'll go shit. You know, I'll roll up in there. But, you know,
You're not going to change a whole
like,
curriculum.
No.
But I've seen a video that like the teacher at the school, she changed the girl's sex without the parents being notified.
What?
on her record?
Yeah, on her record. Yeah.
I would have went to jail.
Legally.
That's jail right there.
No, but she did. They changed it.
But see, that fuckery right there, it doesn't, you know, it's not all across the map. I mean, I hope it's not. But the thing is, like, when it does happen to my kid, I'm going to address it accordingly. You know, so far right now, it's all fun and games, you know what I'm saying, all that cool shit. But I do talk to him about stuff like that, like gender. Sometimes I'll slip in, I'm like, bro, the woman is the most beautiful art that God has ever created. You know, like, I'll talk to him about certain things, you know what I'm saying? Not like, oh, you shouldn't wear a dress or you shouldn't play with, like, not stuff like that. But just like, yo, talk to him, like, present the world to the kid. You know what I'm saying? Don't let somebody out there present the world to your child. You'll be that person to do that. You know what I'm saying? There's some things that you can't, obviously, because we're not professionals at everything.
I want to teach my girls to be respectful of what the other person... It's like I said, hey, you want to be a tree? You want to be called a tree? I respect that. 100%. You are your own person. You can be whatever you want to be. But in my house, I'm teaching my kid the difference between being a girl and a boy.
Yeah.
Because that's what I believe in. And I don't feel respected right now. I don't feel like my values and what I believe in is being respected because they're trying to force what they believe
You're
in.
against the agenda.
Okay.
I am. I'm
No, not you personally.
Oh, right.
But if you are against the agenda.
right. Exactly. That's what. But I technically am because I don't.
So am I.
But the thing is that whatever feeling you have, it doesn't count.
But
It doesn't
why does
matter.
yours feel count and mine doesn't? Right.
But that's what they're doing. They're forcing their feelings into.
Well, their reasoning is because they went through years and years of would
Oppression
be the right way?
Yeah.
I'm hiding, being killed for the stuff that
Yeah.
they believe in.
I
And
get
I
that.
have nothing against gay, lesbian, or none of that. It's all cool. I don't care.
I have 2 gay friends.
Just don't.
And jail.
Like when you say shit like that,
What?
We can't take you serious.
that's like me saying I
It also-
have 2 black friends.
Right. It's like,
Right. That's it.
Oh my!
I do. I do also.
but that doesn't mean that you have something against, like,
Because you're
you
friend-
saying
okay.
it like
It was
that.
a joke.
Right.
Relax, people.
Okay.
It was a
I'm just
Alright.
making sure.
Imagine him doing this at
Right.
church.
We
Right
just, don't
next to
want, we
his
just don't want people to think that.
It was a joke.
Okay, so
I have nothing against
no,
it.
I get it, and
Danny's,
it's
Danny's
like
black, by the way.
right.
Half, sort of.
My thing is, I
I am
cannot
half.
I cannot identify with what a black person goes through because I am not black. So I can't sit here and say to you, I understand how you feel and I get what you're going through. I cannot possibly go through what you go through, right? But I could sympathize with it, I can understand, and I can respect your feelings towards it. I can respect that you go through what you go through. I, as a daughter of an immigrant, go through things that an American child won't go through.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me that I can't feel the way I feel. Because it's what I go, it's my truth.
It's your skin.
It's my skin. And that's how I feel like lately. My truth isn't valid because your truth needs to be more important because of what you went through. And that's not fair.
I mean, we all gotta have like sympathy for each other. We gotta learn how to play nice and this and that. But we can't force things upon other people. You know, like I get it. Like you said, there's a lot of oppression going on. All right, we're working on that. We've been working on that since like the civil rights movement and all that shit. But we don't know all the answers. We're still figuring all this shit out. Like I said, right now, I understand. Like there's that thing where they're trying to mess with the genders in school, blah blah blah. But I'm not there yet. You know, my son isn't there yet. But when that does come, it's like the whole when he told me, Daddy, I got a girlfriend. I know it's gonna come down like that, so I gotta be prepared. For that, you know. But like right now, I can't really stress that right now because it's not happening right now. But I do have my mind like, you know, one day that will come.
But right now is the time that you should be advocating for your thoughts because
by teaching your child by being, you know what I'm saying,
right. It's like Danny's. I think Danny was one who just said like there are certain things that your parents should be the ones teaching you.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's where I think it's being crossed the line. It's like you're trying to teach my kid things that should not be taught in school. My kid is there to be taught math, science, history, and a different language. Yep. Those are the things you should be teaching my kid. You should not be teaching my kid anything sexual. You could teach my kid their body parts because that's part of biology. The sex ed should be minimal. You don't need to teach my kid how to have sex. I, as a parent, will choose to when I want to teach my kid how to have sex and what sex is and what having sex with different male, female, whatever gender.
You're going to teach your kid how to have sex?
I'm not
okay,
teach them
you know what?
Bye.
All right, let me just chime in a little bit because that's in the realms of education. You can, in order for that to happen in schools, the sex ed, parents have to sign a permission slip. If parents don't sign that permission slip, your child cannot be in the room when these things are being taught. You have to get permission from parents legally for these things to be addressed. Also, the teaching about genders and all of that, it is not happening right now. That's not a worry that we should have in Connecticut because that is not happening in Connecticut. It might be happening in other, right, but it's not something we should be worrying about just yet because these things are not happening yet. So yes, we can think about it. I agree. Should it be an argument right now? Should it be something we should be stressing over? I honestly, in the state that we live in, because it's a Democratic, overly, it's the amount of people in Connecticut are Democrats. There is a very low chance that is going to be happening anytime soon in Connecticut.
Democrats are even worse.
Okay, but as of right now, it's not I know it's been being said for a while now, but it's not something that's being pushed into schools right now. I don't even believe it's a conversation that's happening here in Connecticut. That is something that is being talked about.
It's a thought, you know.
It could be a thought, but it's honestly like I think it's a long shot.
But just because it's not being talked here in Connecticut where I live, does that mean that I can close my eyes to everywhere else that it's happening?
You don't have to, but I also don't think that like we're gonna start rallying up for something that's not being like shown right now.
You gotta get ready for it. You're not gonna get ready for a war when the war is already happening.
No, but like I said, like you prepare yourself mentally.
Yeah, you gotta prepare
to have
for
that.
it.
It's like me. Like my kid, he's far from doing drugs right now.
And I think,
but at least I know right now what to say to him when that time comes.
Be preparing for it.
Like right now, he's 6, but I know what to expect when he's 7. As a parent, you always gotta have that step. You know what I'm saying, ahead of your child.
Right.
But just be prepared. You know.
I don't think bashing the education system because of things that folks are saying is the right approach. No. It's understanding how you can advocate for your child.
No, but it's not the education system. It's the people that decide what's going into the education system.
We're not bashing the education system. We're just saying that a lot of them, they're just opening up doors for it. And they're passing out laws for it. I don't know what state that they're passing out law for, but I'm pretty sure like California, the state that allows 100%. Everything. That, you know, and then once one state goes and it keeps going, it's not like a domino like effect. It's gonna go.
And I think it's like the whole abortion thing. Now it's the whole country it's not just one state or the other that's deciding for people, and that's everybody has their own opinion. But as a country that we say we have the freedom to so much, we don't.
Right. And then I think another thing that comes to mind is the fact that we do send or as of right now, we kind of magnet schools, but it's still part of the public school system, where if you do send your child to a public school system, there can be say, but understanding where you can tap in as a parent, that's why getting involved is super important, because you also can't be a parent that's going to say, my child is not going to learn this in school, but you are also not involved, and you don't know how to properly engage in the school at all. Or also be the parent that, oh, my child's not going to do this and that, and then you also want to roll up in the school like this is the hood, and it's a school.
I agree. I think that you as a parent, you have to be present.
You need to understand how to properly advocate for your child, but also, like David said, okay, you're sending your child to a public school. They're going to teach whatever it is that they want to teach, right? Advocate the way you need to. Understand how you can advocate for your child and the curriculums being given in the schools. Cool. But then at home, have these conversations with your child where we need to respect others, but here are our beliefs, right? So being that present parent is going to be like the most essential thing, because in the outside world, we can't control that. At the end of the day, we cannot control what is being taught outside in the world. We can only teach our child within our home to respect others and what our beliefs are at the end of the day.
You as a teacher have a question. Do you pick your curriculum, or are you given one and you have to teach that?
In the school that I am given a curriculum, but it has nothing to do with genders or anything
No. It's just a general question.
Yeah.
Well, not yet.
So for me, no. In the school that I am given a curriculum. In public schools, most schools, they have curriculums available for teachers to follow, but teachers are also able to bring in their own curriculum or build their own curriculum.
If you were given a curriculum that you don't agree with as a teacher, how would you
something you don't agree with?
Something that you don't believe in, and you say, I don't think this is something that I should be teaching somebody else's kid.
Yep. Or this is what we should add on to the curriculum. Yeah, I advocate. Yeah, and that's why I am in the education system. At the end of the day, it's not because I'm here just because I like teaching. No, it's because I want to make sure that there's change. Yeah. Children are being respected. Our community is being respected. Right?
You're in a vital point of the community.
Right.
As a teacher.
So if there is something that I don't agree with, absolutely. Because the reason why I'm in the education field, why I personally chose the education field, is to make sure that, again, things are being done correctly and people are being respected overall.
I think this is just my personal opinion. I think that instead of focusing on what you should or not believe, we should be teaching kids just to be respectful, period.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be, you need to learn that there are other genders and there's this and there's that and there's sex. No, let's teach kids how to be respectful of the other and how to understand the other, rather than teaching them the actual, I feel like my kid doesn't need to understand. My parents never came to me and explained to me what is to be gay. But I grew up understanding what it is to respect other people's choices of living. To respect that the two girls want to get married and that's their choice. That is what I was taught. My parents never taught me.
Ignorant,
right. My parents never taught me what it is to be racist. They taught me to respect all colors and genders and where you come from, respect that you have a history and might be different than mine, but respect religion.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I think is the important part of it. Teach these kids that there's other points of views, there's other perspectives, there's other ways of living, and you just have to respect it, rather than trying to make it, you need to believe in this and you need to be okay with it. It's okay if I'm not, but I need to be respectful of what you want. That's it.
Yeah, I got a question. Could you guys all vote? Here?
I'm not a citizen.
I was gonna vote. Michelle didn't let me vote.
Who were you voting for this shit?
That's a lie. He didn't even get home in time.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Voting closes at 9. He got home at 9:15.
No, you're talking about presidency, right?
Nah, that too, but voting in general, for mayors, this and that.
Yeah, that's important.
Because when it comes down to the education and certain things that's gonna affect us directly and our child, you know what I'm saying? You're worried about that education stuff. There's a way to vote that shit out. You know what I'm saying?
Understanding where to advocate.
Yeah. Yeah.
The reason why I don't want to wait until my kid goes to school to think about it. I'm thinking about it now, so I understand who I should be voting for, who should be there.
Because that's another thing about being a mindful parent. We're in this world, you know what I'm saying? And we're raising our kids inside of this city, this town, whatever. So we got to play by their rules. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a way to get what we want properly. You know? Yeah, there's a whole parenting thing, this and that. But I feel like taking more control of this world that we live in as adults now, you know what I'm saying? And voting, yeah, it might seem kind of corny, but voting is one way to, like, you know, help out in all this stuff that's going on in our lives, you know? Because you're going to put the right people in power to... And when you take a back seat and just let other people do that shit for you, you're going to end up having what you don't want. You know, so
and
then
then all
complain.
I could do is come on a podcast that not everybody in the U.S. listens to and complain about it.
Yeah.
But the thing is though with why you cutting you off?
Like, that's not important. He doesn't say nothing right. Oh, waste my memory.
The thing though with voting,
Michelle's bullying Danny today.
the thing with voting though, if you look at it, even if you do for somebody that's gonna like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Most of these people sometimes they just lie, so you can't really trust them. They just say that just to gain your vote.
That's fine, but there's also the other side of where they're showing their true colors, and you're deciding if you want that true color to be out there, making decisions for you.
Like, you know, every voting, sometimes even like for presidential, they're always gonna do, oh, you know, we're gonna do
Especially
immigration reform, blah blah blah.
Especially.
Huh?
Nah, especially presidential.
Yeah, because like, it comes like, oh, we're gonna do immigration reform and all this stuff, and then when it comes to it, 4 year pass, nothing happens.
Yeah, so
Because
that's why
they make
for,
promises they can't
Yeah,
keep.
that's
bro.
what I'm saying. So why, like,
So
I
keep it
know
more local.
voting is essential. People need to go out there and vote, but you know, sometimes
Yeah, politicians
politicians just
disappoint.
lie.
But when it comes
Men
down to a
lie,
smaller
women
scale,
lie,
like
numbers
mayors
don't.
and all this stuff, things that happen in our city and shit, it's you know, people never talk about that shit. Like, yo, we're gonna go vote today for woo woo. It's like we don't think about the presidential shit.
We're too focused on the big guys,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we can't go to town hall and protest
Yeah,
and talk about where's those promises that you made last year when you got voted in.
it could be that. Yeah, and there's a lot of groups and stuff like nowadays. Like, you know, we're really connected one with another. But yeah, drugs are bad. Okay, kids. Stay away from that.
Anyways, I think we're gonna have to continue these different topics in another podcast. I hope you guys liked being on with us, and I hope that we were fair to y'all opinions as fathers, as men.
Definitely.
Is this your longest session?
Close to.
All right, let's beat it.
Yeah,
The
I think.
the last guest was about that.
Yeah, we'll split it in two so you guys could get two of you, but.
There's gonna be a lot of editing, so it's only like an hour long.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of cutting out anytime Jenny spoke. Just kidding.
There are so many things that play into the parents we are today. This is tough. It always was and most likely always will be. We are here. Lean on your village. Stay tuned for part 2 next Wednesday. And don't forget, be proud of who you are. You are not alone. It's just complicated. And the only way to bring change is to bring awareness. We'd love to hear from you and your thoughts on this episode. Feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at It's Just Complicated Podcast. See you next week.